Hello and welcome to another episode of Visiting Professionals. I am your host, Austin Slabaugh, and today we're here at the great Comerica Park where I'm visiting with Detroit Tigers in-game entertainment staff, Alex Lovachis and Stan Fracker. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Austin Slabaugh. I'm a student at Open University. Most of my time is spent on campus in class, but when I'm not hitting the books, I'm visiting professionals.
Today on Visiting Professionals, I'm at Comerica Park to visit with the team responsible for the in-game entertainment for the Detroit Tigers. I'm meeting with Stan Fracker, who is the Director of Broadcasting and In-Game Entertainment, as well as Alex Lovachis, who is a Senior Scoreboard Producer and Editor. Stan and Alex take me behind the scenes in the broadcast booth and explain the technology and demands of working in live entertainment.
Hey, nice to meet you, Stan.
Very nice to meet you, Austin.
Thanks for having me down here. Did you want to start off by giving me a tour?
I think that's a great idea. Let's start with our control room.
That's sweet.
All right, so here is our control room. We're going to walk by several computer servers. Everything nowadays in television production is computer-based. Obviously, very cool in here, very cool environment. And of course, in here is the control room. We have graphic stations, our replay stations, our switcher. And the guy here who's actually kind of working on things for tonight's game is Alex Lovachis. He's our senior producer.
Nice to meet you.
Coming up after the break, Alex Lovachis gives us a tour of the scoreboard control room, and I sit down with Stan and Alex and ask them more about their careers when Visiting Professionals continues.
I know, 2 seconds. Hang on, just stand still. Stand still. One second. Boys, hang on, boys!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Visiting Professionals. I'm at Comerica Park visiting the Detroit Tigers in-game entertainment director, Stan Fracker, and scoreboard producer and editor, Alex Lovachis. Alex has offered to show me around the control room to learn more about their operations.
All right, so Alex, you have us here in the control room, and we have a lot going on here. Can you explain to me what you do?
So basically, what I'm doing on a game night is overseeing the production crew here. All of these stations that you guys will see here have a body in them, doing their own job, running their own clips. They have their own responsibilities, graphics, replays, camera shots.
So can you show me how this replay system works?
Yep, absolutely. So what you're looking at here, these monitors during a game would be filled up with camera shots of, play on the field that's occurring live. It's always recording, so we can jog back and get whatever we want, jump back to real time, etc. To give you an example, you can call up clips right here from, last night's highlights. You can see, all right, JD Martinez hit a home run. Take a look at it from this angle. You can queue up it on another channel of a different angle. Then once you have a clip ready to play back, you have the ability to queue to certain in and out points with your jog wheel to get to where you want to be to start your replay. The T-bar here allows you to have dynamic control of the speed and freezes and custom control of how you want to play the clip back.
So did you have any prior experience to using this equipment in college, or did you learn it all here on the job?
Most of the knowledge comes from on-the-job training. They'll get your feet wet in college, depending on the programs too. And even if you do learn the equipment, it's still a process to learn the actual responsibilities, the ins and outs of what's expected of you as an operator. It's on the go. It's learning from other people, adapting, picking up things as you're working.
What are all these stations used for?
Okay, so the one we're looking at right here is our clip server. It's called Crossfire. Basically, all of our videos and animations are run out of one of these two systems that we have. So anything that you're looking at can be called up, and it's a simple double click or cue and transfer, and then you'll see that it plays out. You can see Miguel Cabrera's animated headshot there. We have all kinds of stuff locked and loaded, ready to go. Next is the Chiron. It's basically a graphics station. We have 2 of them. One is primarily for statistics, all the lower thirds you'll see for batters. And
What's the lower third?
okay, so when you're looking at a live shot on TV or on the video board of a player or anything, a lower third is a graphic that appears near the bottom of the screen and kind of identifies them with some relevant information. And I can call one up for you here. We use kind of a numbering system based on player number. So, like for example, the third graphic on JD Martinez will be 3028 because his jersey number is 28. So if I call that up here, it'll pull up some information on JD Martinez, what he's done in the game. He's 1 for 3 with a home run. And then orchestrating with the director and the TD, they'll key it over the camera shot, and then the operator here can play it out, and you'll see the animation, and which would then be live for the crowd to see.
And now that's what this station's used for. You said this does the same thing, but what are these ones used
so
for?
This one is the same concept, also generating graphics, but over here they're focused more on the in-game entertainment, promotional type things. So what you see here is a fan contest where a contestant will challenge one of our players, and we have a running total of how many plants that they can name in this case. But you'll see other things like pizza row. We'll put in section and row numbers, and it's the operator's responsibility to get that information and update it as quickly as possible.
Alex, this board is scaring me, man. We got over 100 buttons here, a bunch of different flashing lights.
So what you're looking at here is the production switcher. Every station video playback element filters through here and either gets compiled with graphics or framed and resized or whatever the switcher does, and sends it out to the board.
Do all these buttons have a purpose, or do only a select few ever get used?
All these buttons have a purpose, and they
my.
seem intimidating because there's so many of them.
That's so much to memorize.
But the thing that you'll learn as you get accustomed to the switcher is that a lot of them work in the exact same way. Everything is accounted for on here. So when you're looking at camera 5 here in the monitor wall, you can press it here and it's going to pop up and show you.
Okay.
And when you want it to go to the board, you switch from preset to program.
Yeah, so this actually doesn't seem like it's all that scary. Like if I just press this
Whoa,
button
whoa,
here.
whoa, whoa, no.
No?
No. All right, go ahead, give it a try.
Ah, sweet. Boom. Tiger face.
There it is.
After visiting with Alex, I met up with Stan, who was busy prepping for tonight's home game.
All right, so Stan, we're here in your office, and I see that you have an editing program up, and it's 5 hours before game time, my imaginary watch says so. You want to tell me what you were working on?
Yeah, sure, certainly. One of the things I do is while we have a full-time editing staff, we have 2 producer editors who are also working on projects right now. And you've spoken with Alex a little bit. He edits as well. I contribute on some projects, and one of them is our upcoming game promo. And so this is a promo that just lets our fans know, hey, we got a big series coming up. This is how you would get tickets here if you're at the ballpark if you're interested, and some of the interesting things about those games.
Now, how many little tidbits like this get thrown in before game time that are made day of?
That are made day of. There's probably half a dozen or so that things that have to be tweaked and adjusted heading into the game. There are certainly plenty of things that we run that have been edited a month ago or 2 months ago or even prior to the season. So it does vary.
So Stan, not only do you edit here in your office, but you also create the in-game rundown?
Yeah, that's correct. So every game kind of has its own story, and really every game for us kind of boils down to two big parts. We have the pregame, which consists of we have sponsor obligations. We have just general obligations to let our fans know where to go in case of emergency, things like that. That has to be scripted and formatted when we do those things. As well as, like in the example of tonight's game, we have 3 pregame ceremonies, and these all take place on the field but need to be presented on the scoreboard in a way that includes graphics and staging, and so all that needs to be planned out and scripted out, including what our public address announcer says. So that gets we have to put that together. Of course, I work with our promotion staff closely. They do a terrific job in lining up these pregame ceremonies, and then we work together on creating scripts, and I make sure we find time in our rundown, and we move forward on that. And then of course there's the game. We get to play in baseball, the action. When there's a pitcher on the mound and the ball's in play, that obviously kind of takes care of itself. Well, there's a lot of work that goes on with presenting that the right way, but you don't have to plan that as much as what happens in between innings and in between breaks. And that's when we get into, okay, we make sure we take care of our sponsor obligations, we run features at the right time, we're organized, we have the proper scripts, and that all has to happen.
When we come back, I sit down with Stan and Alex as they answer some important questions about their careers. So grab a snack and sit back, because Visiting Professionals will continue after these messages.
"94% of people realize that littering is a major environmental problem. Yet the United States spends $11.5 billion each year on cleanup projects. Do your part. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Visit KAB.org for more information.
Welcome back to Visiting Professionals. I'm at Comerica Park visiting with the Detroit Tigers in-game entertainment director, Stan Fracker, and scoreboard producer and editor, Alex Lovachis. We snuck out onto the field before tonight's game to talk to Stan and Alex about growing up here in the Mitten.
All right, well, Alex, Stan, I want to thank you guys so much for having me down here at the great Comerica Park. First off, I just want to start to get to know you guys a little bit better. Alex, Stan, where'd you guys grow up? Are you here from Michigan?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah, I am from Michigan. I grew up near Jackson, a town called Michigan Center. It's right next to Jackson, Michigan. A small town, graduating class of about 85 kids at my high school, Michigan Center High School. And just grew up, conveniently enough, a Tigers fan. So watched them all the time. The '84 team was my team. I was 10 years old when they won that championship. So a lot of great memories for me. And so, yeah, to be working here is incredible.
And you, Alex?
Similar story. I grew up also near Jackson, out there between Ann Arbor and Lansing, small town as well, Stockbridge, Michigan. Also grew up a big Tigers fan.
Yeah, so this is sort of a dream for you guys both to work for your hometown teams when you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, growing up, and it actually kind of helps doing the job a little bit too. I can't really visualize what it'd be like, working for a different team that I didn't grow up following. So now to be able to see Alan Trammell around the office when, as a kid, he was my hero. You do run into some pretty unique circumstances.
How did you guys both get interested in broadcasting in the first place?
For me, it started in college when I had to declare a major. I thought about what I enjoyed doing in school that didn't feel like school and work, and I knew it was video production. So when I was at Michigan State, I decided to be a telecom and digital media major. Started doing that media and video production, got an internship in sports and realized, wow, these two things together are really awesome for me. Did a few more internships, worked in the scoreboard department at Michigan State, got an internship here, and the rest is history, as they say.
And Stan, I hear that you went to Western Michigan University?
Yeah, I did go to Western Michigan. I was a little different than Alex. Alex kind of figured out early on being a behind-the-scenes guy, which we both are behind-the-scenes guys. But when I went through school, my goal was to be on air, was to be, whether it's a play-by-play guy. I graduated college in the mid-'90s, and at that time, SportsCenter was at its peak, so the idea of being, a sports anchor was enticing to me as well. So I went to Western Michigan for that purpose. But in the meantime, I kind of kept in the back of my mind, hey, you still got to be kind of ready for whichever way the wind blows. And so I learned as much as I could about the actual technical aspect of broadcasting too, whether it's running a camera, editing. But my focus at Western too the whole time was, okay, eventually I'm going to be a reporter, be on the air. And that's when I kind of made the transition to working in Alpena, small station up there for a few months, and then decided at that time, I think maybe I'm better suited to being someone that's behind the camera and still being creative, still working in sports, but not being in front of it.
Now, talking about behind the scenes, what do you guys do here on game days? What all goes on off the field?
Yeah, you know what? It is it's fun because obviously as fans that come to the game, and we have a significant amount of fans that come to every game, and we have a significant amount as well that it's the one day of the summer that they get out here, and it's a big event for them. For Alex and I, obviously, it's 80, 81 games a year that we experience, and there is a lot of work that goes into every game. Each game has its own story. There is a bit of a formula for us in what we're doing every game in terms of what's on the board, the fan contests we have, the interactions we have. But there are a lot of things too that change from game to game. We have a lot of ceremonies that happen before the game that are big events for the people that are on the field as well as for the people that are viewing. And so it keeps it fun and interesting throughout the year, but it does take a ton of work, and it's a lot of work with other people that are on our staff. And then the day-to-day employees that come in and work our games, who are professionals, just like the professionals behind the cameras right now, who help us out on a game day basis in producing what we think is one of the best shows in Major League Baseball.
Now, how do you guys correlate your jobs with one another? How do you help out Stan, and Stan, how do you help out Alex?
I'll answer that question by just kind of talking about Alex and what he does for us. In television production, it's sort of interesting. You can have sort of a very specific skill set. You can be a very good editor, or perhaps a very good camera person. You can have some skills that you can lend to the table, with writing, or maybe you're good, with the technical aspect and engineering. Alex is a nice mix of all things, and you wouldn't really, if you were, if I were just sort of like kind of designing, staff roles, I would not write out a staff role for Alex for the way he's kind of defined it, because it would be so difficult finding somebody that does it. Alex is our director on game days, which is a task in of itself, being able to call all the camera shots and everything that is happening on the field, and being able to know what to go to next, and also be able to live in the moment and capture the moment correctly. And then on a day-to-day basis, Alex edits video. And creates incredible motion graphics for us.
Alex, it sounds like you're the jack of all trades. What's your favorite thing to do here?
The live production and being able to engage the crowd and to be, reacting and flexible with our production to what's happening on the field is just a really cool experience for me. And having the ability to actually impact a little bit of what, people are feeling when they're watching the game is is my favorite part of it. And a lot of it is the preparation, the execution of the live elements. A good example is JD Martinez had a big comeback game, pinch hit, home run. The crowd went crazy. And, afterwards, he talked about how excited he was on social media and Twitter and everything, and how it was one of the best experiences of his life. And, I like to think that, we had a little bit of a part of that, provoking the crowd a little bit, saying, hey, this was an awesome moment, let's cheer for him. Stan had a great idea to have a welcome back video. We all worked together to, put together highlights and, a little welcome back graphic. And then when he hit the home run, we tied those highlights into the video. And this was kind of like a surreal moment that came together really perfectly, more than we even expected it was going to. Yeah. And just to be a part of all of that and to, I don't want to say create, but enhance the experience that's what my favorite part of the job is.
Now, trying to get the fans and the whole entire atmosphere pumped up for the game, or for even moments like that, how much work does that go into for not only you guys, but the rest of the media department as a whole? How many people do you even have working for you?
For our full-time staff, along with Alex and myself, we have a couple of other producer editors and a tech manager that kind of help us on the day-to-day nuts and bolts, helping us create all the elements that you see on a day-to-day basis, not only for our scoreboard, but also for social channels and for our website. Really, as far as the work that's involved, the thing that's a lot of people I don't think kind of understand until you talk to them a bit is the off-season preparation that happens. That means in October, November, December, we are planning for the season ahead, and that affects a variety of elements. We have sponsored features, so we have to develop our relationships with corporate sales and make sure that our corporate partners we're delivering a video feature that matches their brand and ties it in with the Detroit Tigers brand, a very strong brand. And then we also need to focus on the more of the fun elements in the ballpark, which is getting the crowd involved. We lead the way sometimes on that. The best moments, though, are when the crowd leads the way, and we have a smart crowd that often does.
Now, what's the difference between an off day or an away game compared to a home game? Is there ever really an off day, or are you kind of working around the clock here?
Yeah, during the season, it is around the clock. baseball is unique, and you have the whole nature of homestands. As you're interviewing us right now, we're in the middle of a homestand. I think we're heading towards game 3 of a 7-game homestand this evening. You have these homestands that could be 7 games long, could be 10 games long, and you just crank out game after game and work hard on each and every game. Then the team will go on the road for a while, also for 7 days, 10 days sometimes, and then it becomes a little bit more of a 9-to-5 job unless you're working on a big project. Then you go past 5 often, but you kind of ride the rhythm of the season as well. And that, you have your 12, 13, 14-hour days when the team's in town, and then every once in a while you find an 8-hour day when the team heads out of town.
Coming up, our interview with Stan and Alex concludes as they talk more in depth about their position with the Tigers when Visiting Professionals continues.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Visiting Professionals. I'm at Comerica Park visiting the Detroit Tigers in-game entertainment director, Stan Fracker, and scoreboard producer and editor, Alex Lovachis. We're back on the field talking to Stan and Alex about the challenges of working long days at the ballpark.
Now, Stan, I know you said that there's no off days. How does that affect your family or at-home life?
Working in sports is a bit of a challenge. I mean, every job comes with its challenge and its own, unique set of circumstances and schedules. And there are plenty of people, I think, that would love to switch places with us. And so certainly not looking for any, sympathy when describing kind of the job. But the thing you do need to know when you get into sports is that just think about when sports are played. Played often on the weekends, often on the evenings, and often on holidays. So, the trade-off is, every day I come into a place that looks like this. And, it's Comerica Park, it's where the Tigers play. I'm passionate about what I do, I love what I do, and I'm working with great people, a fantastic staff, tremendous people to work with. They're all in the same boat as us, working the same kind of hours, and so you have kind of a larger family too that is that's your coworkers.
It's definitely a time commitment. Like Stan mentioned, they don't consider your schedule when planning sports, and as they shouldn't. But it takes people, whether it's friends or girlfriends or whoever, an adjustment period to figure out what exactly is going on. And like you do miss weekends, and my weekends, like when we get done with a homestand and it's Monday and it feels like Saturday to me and everyone else is at work, and I'm like, oh yeah, you guys can't hang out. So it's a very different animal to deal with. Not necessarily bad, but just you have to get used to it, and it's a lifestyle in itself.
So now I want to move over to the technical side of broadcasting. How has things changed ever since you got into the business?
The development of high definition and the development of digital recording have been huge on our business. I lived through an era where everything was tape to tape, and editing was very difficult. Now to be able to edit through a computer software and being able to digitally record hours and hours of footage and be able to instantly cue it up when you need to has dramatically changed what we do. And just the visual images that you see. There was a lot of work involved in standard definition that just doesn't happen as much now, and getting the pictures to look right, and getting colors to match, that just it sort of take care of themselves a little bit better in the digital age. There's still some work on that, but there's some ease of operation that has happened over the years.
Now, Alex, how important do you think it is to be skilled in all aspects of what you do, and how do you think that helped you land a job here with the Tigers?
I think it's very important and advantageous to me for a job like this. If you're more geared towards a broadcast position, like I'd say being a Chiron operator or a technical director, like having that finite developed skill set is probably better there. But in a role like I have, when I'm setting up the control room for my staff, I know what to expect of my staff, and not just what to expect, but know that they're capable of doing it, or if they're unsure, how to tell them, hey, like this is all you got to do to achieve this. And honestly, I feel like that having this jack of all trades skill set for me has really been crucial to me landing this role and succeeding in it.
Stan, what has been the most memorable moment in your career so far, and what's also been the hardest obstacle you've had to overcome?
For me, a couple of moments stand out. I was with the Detroit Pistons when they won the championship in 2004, and to be a part of a world championship when you're working for a pro team is the dream. And it was a ton of fun. It was a ton of work also in trying to best capture that moment. And also, present it in a way that our fans were able to, to enjoy it as best they could at the time. And then certainly here, I remember my first playoffs in 2013, the postseason. Was an incredible time to be around, to see just the passion and energy of the Tigers fan base, fully engaged. And unfortunately, it didn't end with a world championship, but it was an exciting time, to be here, and hopefully we're heading that way again. I'd say the biggest challenge is really just getting started. I referenced earlier, coming out of Western Michigan University. My very first job was at Channel 3 in Kalamazoo. I was a production assistant, ripping scripts on the 5 a.m. newscast, but then just finding the right opportunity. And for me, after that, it came with working for the Pistons and then here, but just the challenges of getting that first job and finding your way that first year or two. For me, it was a year or two. For others, it can be, several years. But.
Alex, what advice would you give to a student looking to go into a field that you are doing right now?
My advice would probably be to be dedicated, to believe in what you're doing. We touched on it a little bit earlier, to learn as much as you can and to never say no to learning something new. Just being able to be a guy that someone can count on. It is difficult, especially in this industry. It's a lot of freelance work when you're trying to break in, but learning everything you can, being trustworthy, being dedicated and competent, and it goes very far. And it's really important to be, someone that you can rely on.
Stan, did you have any advice you'd like to give to any student looking to go into the field that you are working in currently?
I think Alex certainly touched on it. The interesting things, that Alex says there too is it applies to, a wide range of fields, whatever you get into. Be reliable, be competent, be knowledgeable, are all good things. As it also relates to sports, I would say, go back to earlier when we were talking about your daily schedules and what you're getting into. Have an understanding. It's very tough to get into this business and then, expect to leave at, 5 o'clock or to have, that weekend off when the team's in town. Those kind of things. Set your expectations appropriately.
Now, I got one last question here for you guys before we wrap things up. It's an easy one. I promise it won't be all too hard. Is this the best job in the world?
People often ask me when I tell them my background, grew up a Tigers fan, like this is what I wanted to do, this type of work in the industry. And they're like, oh, so like you're in your dream job. And then I think to myself, like, yeah, like there's not a different job that I would want. I mean, there's certainly things that, I would like to change a little bit, but that comes with any job. And, the time commitment is a thing. It's something you deal with. But as far as the opportunity that I get to do the work that I do, to engage the crowd and, work with the Detroit Tigers, the players, the fans, the whole team is something that I would never want to give up.
For me, I would say, on a day-to-day basis, I'm never looking at my watch saying, when is it going to be 5 o'clock? Like, I'm always looking at my watch going, oh my God, I can't believe it's already 2, or I can't believe it's already 3 o'clock. So it's, and I enjoy those days much better than the idea of being somewhere and waiting for that hand to point at the 5 so I can jet out of here. That's just not the case, and it makes for a fun job.
All right, well, Stan, thank you for having me here so much. Alex, thank you for being here. I think that's going to wrap us up. Go Tigers! All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Visiting Professionals. I'd like to give a special thanks to Stan Fracker, Alex Lovachis, and the Detroit Tigers organization. Until next time, I'm Austin Slaybaugh, signing off.